What's up? All right, here we go. What's up, fight fans? How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's good. Winter is officially here in Sydney. It's June 11th. Boxing news today, June 10th in America. It's been a busy day, been a busy week. If you're coming from America, this is day one of fight week, which is your Monday. I'm already a day ahead of you. Looking forward to the two big fight cards coming to us this weekend. One coming from America, the other one coming from Puerto Rico. Obviously, I'm talking about the Tank Davis Frank Martin fight, David Benavidez Vosdick on the undercard, and then the Puerto Rican fight, Subriel Matias versus the Aussie Liam Pero. I'll let this run a little bit. I'll vent a little bit. You know what? A downside today. First, we're going to talk about a couple videos that we put up. I'm going to talk about Frank Martin, what he has to do to be victorious against Tank. And I'm also going to talk about on the other side, Liam Pero, his strategy. If I was coaching him, what I would have him do in terms of game planning if he wants to be victorious against Subriel Matias. But one of the things about talking about statistics in the boxing space that I'm learning is that there's a lot of cunty people out there with 0 subscribers who don't make content, who literally either rush to their opinion with talking shit or just troll, because I'm not going to call anybody out. But when you're dealing with statistics, I do a video a month ago on Steve Claggett. Steve Claggett, believe it or not, a month ago was ranked number 5 in the world in his box rec. Go look at the comments on the Claggett video, and some bloke with 1 subscriber is telling me to do my homework because he says that Claggett is ranked 9th, which, okay, a month ago it was different. But rather than commenting, my point is, and I'll keep it positive from here on out, rather than commenting about the content of the video, this is what I don't understand with some people. I would never find myself wasting my own time scrolling through social media, engaging with a piece of content to not talk about the content, but to talk about my own personal narrative. So rather than talk about Claggett, his record, the opportunity of a lifetime he has against Teofimo Lopez, people would rather talk about his world ranking, which a month ago was 5. Look at his box rec. I put it in the video, and now I think it's 7 or 9. Anyway, speaking of Teofimo Lopez, I'm going to start here. What do you make of him? What do you got? Like, when he's at his best, I love watching him box. If you're like a purist of the sport, if you like technique and flair, when Teo is in his flow state, he's one of the prettiest boxers out. And it's such a psychological sport in which one win could boost you to the stratosphere. One bad win could take it all away. You don't even have to lose. One bad win. Think about what Shakur was going through. And I'm speaking from experience with this. I used to have a roommate who fought in the UFC. She was a female fighter from Australia, and she lived with me for a few years. And I was at her wins. I watched her win a $50,000 bonus fight one night, and then I watched her lose in Vegas. And it's so wild to see when the highs and the ebbs and flows of fighters. It's not a position that I envy. So with Teofimo Lopez, he puts his video up.
I am everything. I am life. I am creation. I am everything. I am the sword of truth. Don't you forget it. I work hard. 3 in the morning. Up grinding. We don't sleep. The sleep is for the weak. I'm not weak. I'm stronger than ever. I'm hungrier than ever. Steve Claggett, I'm going to fuck you up. To everybody, I'm going to mess you up. With my faith, with my strength, with all my hope, and with all my love, I will create everything from above. For man is I, and for I shall feast.
All right, I got to shut that off. When I see that from Teo, the more I hear him talk like that, the more I question, is he trying to hype himself up? And then it's almost like, do we know the authentic Lopez? Do we actually know who he is? Does he know who he is? And, it's a mix of like regurgitating Bible quotes and then trying to tap into that Muhammad Ali-esque sort of ranting. But there was only one Muhammad Ali. And when you force things, you force the issue, it comes off a little bit I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he was supposed to be motivated on that. Bud Crawford, strength and conditioning. He's in camp. He always posts gnarly, him killing the game. Crawford I think he's at the UFC Performance Institute doing crucifix walks, sparring. He always has his digital team with him, taking high level video, high level photos. His content. I wish that a lot of the fighters would kind of take after that blueprint. If you follow Bud enough, especially since the last fight camp with Errol Spence, Crawford brings in a couple of the same photographers and videographers, and all of his content is always labeled. All of his content is with his brand, and it looks really clean. So when you're looking at social media content, you could always tell the fighters who are going about their craft as a profession and a brand, and then the fighters trying to make a name for themselves. There's even a hierarchy in that, and you could psychoanalyze a fighter where they are in their career from what their content looks like, believe it or not. All right, I want to talk about Frank Martin versus Tank. I'm going to play a video from that first stare down that took probably 2 months ago. And we're playing this because Tank recently said that he saw fear in Frank Martin's eyes. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see the fear that the Tank claims that he saw in Frank Martin's eyes there. That fight's going down this weekend. It's funny because they're listed. Frank's listed at 5'8", Tank's listed at 5'5", but they look pretty much the same height there. Maybe not. Maybe you can see at least maybe an inch or so Frank Martin. So I did a video today on Frank Martin and what he has to do. It's up right now on the page, on the channel. And I'll show you what that looks like real quick.
Boxing is one of those
right
sports
here.
That you gotta work.
So in this video, it's up now. Watch it when we're done doing the live. And I talk about the strategy that Frank Martin must possess going into this fight, and how it's going to be very important for Frank Martin to get Tank's respect right off the bat, early on. We know Tank is a notoriously, I don't want to say slow starter, but he doesn't fight with a lot of urgency early in the rounds. He likes to counterbox early in the fight, and he likes to wait a little bit. His output, his punch stats are never the best in his division. He's never going to win a total punch output war. He has power in his hands, so he trusts that. And sometimes it's not that he gives rounds away, but he's not as busy as you probably think he should be. Now, I think Frank Martin has to play in on that. I think Martin has to start quick, start early. With his style, I think it's going to be important that he takes the center of the ring and doesn't let Tank bully him early on and fight him. You got to fight Gervonta Davis. You can't back up. You can't get Tank into his groove. You can't let him flow. And if you do, you're gonna get hit with some of his big power shots. It's exactly what happened to Leo Santa Cruz. It's exactly what happened to Rolly Romero. You have to try to bully Tank. You have to at least punch back and punch with him and get him to get your respect and give you a better opportunity to land the shots with your feet are set. If Frank Martin finds himself early in this fight backing up and trying to throw shots off his back foot, that's not going to be a good thing for Team Martin. But think about this. Think about Derek James. If somehow Frank Martin could pull this off against Tank, that's Derek James has beaten Devin Haney and Tank Davis in back-to-back fights. That's something that he could definitely tip his cap to. Well, I'll do a video later in the week about who I think is who I'm putting my money on with Frank and Gervonta, and that'll be out in a couple days. We're also up. We're talking Liam Perro and Subriel Matias. Perro's a huge underdog, 6-1. I don't necessarily agree with those odds. I think the Aussie has a better chance of winning than most people give him credit for. He's a southpaw. When we look at Subriel Matias, Subriel doesn't, I don't want to say he struggles with southpaws, but he doesn't fight a lot of southpaws. And for an orthodox power puncher who wants to set his backhand up, it's going to be a different ball game. It's the angles are going to be opposite. The lead foot game is going to be opposite. And we're going to see Subriel's fight IQ in that fight. And speaking of fight IQ, Perro talks about how his ring IQ is one of his strengths. So we're going to see his game plan. I think that it's going to be important that Pero gets Matias's respect early. Matias likes to pour it on mid to late rounds. We know about his 100% knockout to win ratio, and he wants to knock you out. I don't know. Do you think Pero could win a decision in Puerto Rico? That's a big question. I don't know if he could go down there and win a decision. Can he knock out Matias? We'll see. Maybe he just has to hurt him. Maybe Pero, gets up on the scorecards, knocks him down. To think that he goes in and wins a clean decision, I'd like to see the odds on that. But if he thinks he's going to go to Puerto Rico and beat Matias, he has to push the pace. He has to stay smart. He has to circle away from that power, and he has to catch Matias not moving his head. Matias will be there to get hit. We have to see Pero's output. We have to see it confidently in Pero like he was against Montana Love and Brock Jarvis, and only time will tell. Both of these fights are happening this weekend. The sad part about the whole thing is right now they're headlining at the same exact time. So we're going to have either split screens or two different devices running the Tank Davis versus Frank Martin fight and the Liam Pero Subro Matias fight. I guess sometimes that's just the way these things work out. Tomorrow I'm going to do a breakdown on David Benavidez and Alexander Vosdik. Going to talk about how those guys match up. It's Benavidez' first fight at light heavyweight. Vosdik is not going to be an easy task. A lot of questions are going to be answered. Will Benavidez' power carry up to light heavyweight? And only time will tell on that one. What else is going on? That undercard. Well, you got Gary Antoine Russell's on the undercard. I'm excited about that. That Russell versus Puello fight should be an exciting one. Carlos Adimes is fighting Gausha. Adimes, he went viral a few years ago with sparring footage, him and Bud Crawford. And we know Gausha is a former American Olympian who dropped Tim Tszyu in a fight but ended up losing that fight. So the undercard for the Frank Martin Tank PBC on pay-per-view is pretty good. 2 world title fights, and we got a lot of boxing coming up. Let me see here. Here's a picture that took a lot of – here's a stat that some people were talking trash about. The co-headliner and the headliner for that card, David Benavidez, Tank Davis, 57-0, 51 knockouts. So I think that's when I'm thinking about stats, when I'm thinking about, stat of the day, that's a good one to tell your friends. 57-0, 51 knockouts. Guys, stay tuned, share, subscribe. And this is Boxing News Today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.